Ninja is a well known roller coaster at Six Flags St. Louis, but it is known for the wrong reasons. Because of its obnoxious headbanging and jerkiness, many coaster enthusiasts say this is one of the worst roller coasters in the world. And the general public seem to agree, as there is typically no line for this attraction. But is it as horrible as everyone claims? Hey everyone, this is Cullah Hale from Destination Thrills, and today I am here with my review of Ninja, an aero looping coaster at Six Flags St. Louis in Eureka, Missouri. This coaster receives a lot of hate. Many riders experience headbanging against the tough over-the-shoulder restraints during the ride's jerky moments. The ride overall can be rugged and painful. But to say this belongs on a top 20 list for worst roller coasters in the world, I believe is a bit exaggerated. Yes, this coaster has its painful moments, but it also has its thrilling moments as well. The ride stands at 108 feet tall and hits a top speed of 54 miles per hour. Ninja also contains 4 inversions. Growing up in the St. Louis area, I have had many laps on Ninja, and I will say it certainly has its fun times. But do these fun moments outweigh these painful elements? Well, let's examine the layout. First, you rise up the chain lift 108 feet in the air, and there are some great sights of Six Flags St. Louis. Once you make it to the top, you glide into a 180-degree helix and down the first drop. This is the best part of the ride if you are sitting in the very back. The whip caused by the momentum at the front of the car gives a crazy, unexpected dose of ejector airtime. To this day, I hold on at this moment in anticipation for that stomach-dropping sensation. Dare I say this is the strongest moment of ejector airtime on any coaster at Six Flags St. Louis if you are in the back seat. After the first drop, you sling up the first inversion, which is a vertical loop. I'm not a big fan of the vertical loop unless there is some hang time involved. Ninja's loop has no hang time whatsoever, just some mild positive G-forces. After this, you go into the Sidewinder, which is the part that many hate. And this is my least favorite part of the ride as well. No thrill at all, with tons of headbanging. I brace myself every time and just try to tough it out. After this, you go into a turnaround that leads to the mid-course brake run. The ride loses all momentum at this point, so you sort of meander around in this section. You then bank right and make a curved drop into the double corkscrew element. This section is not very smooth either, but the double corkscrews are really exciting, which makes you ignore the uncomfortableness of this section. As you exit the corkscrews, you drop into this helix that is the most intense moment on the ride. The positive G-forces are really strong in the helix. Depending on how I am feeling, I will start feeling lightheaded in this moment. I'm not a big fan of graying out on rides, so this element is less preferred for me, but for those who love G-forces, you will really get joy out of this element. Now, as you approach the station, I do want to point out that you make this left turn into the brake run, and the track is so close to the lift structure that it gives you a slight head chopper sensation. Definitely something that jumps out to me every time that I ride. And just like that, your experience ends. So was the thrill worth the pain? Well, let's get into my ratings of the Ninja. If this is your first time watching my coaster reviews, I will be rating Ninja on a scale of 0 to 5 through 5 categories: intensity, fun, uniqueness, comfort, and duration. Then I will give my overall rating for this roller coaster on the same scale of 0 to 5. So let's get started. Our first category is intensity. Ninja isn't the most intense roller coaster, but it definitely has its thrilling moments, especially that first drop and final helix. To me, Ninja is sort of a middle of the road when it comes to intensity, so I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Next is fun, and to be honest, after a few rides, this coaster can be sort of dull. A few years ago, a group of friends and I decided to try and marathon this coaster, and by the 8th ride, I was dying to ride something more thrilling. With that being said, Ninja is not a kiddie coaster, and it does have its moments, especially the double corkscrew. So I'm going to give Ninja a 2 out of 5 for fun. Let's move on to Uniqueness, and this coaster rides just like many of the other aero loopers out there. It does have its subtle differences with it being a custom layout, so for that I will give it a 2 out of 5 for Uniqueness. Moving on to comfort, I don't think I need to go into much more detail here. This ride is rugged, and the over-shoulder restraints do not do much to soften the blows to your head as you are dragged through the second inversion. I will say I have ridden much more painful roller coasters out there, so I'm going to give Ninja a 1 out of 5 for comfort. Now let's talk about duration, which on Ninja feels really short. There is really only 6 elements in total, and that is it. Now for some that can't handle the pain, this short duration might come as a blessing, but for me it takes away a lot of the motivation to ride, especially if it has a line, which luckily a majority of the time it does not. I do wish there were 2 to 3 more elements in the layout to provide a full experience. So, for me, this coaster gets a 1 out of 5 for duration. Finally, what is my overall rating? I'm giving Ninja a 2 out of 5. It certainly is not the worst roller coaster I have ridden, and in my opinion, it is far from being the worst roller coaster in the world. I actually enjoy getting on this coaster and ride it every time I go to Six Flags St. Louis, especially when there is not a line. Yes, it is short, and yes, there is rough patches, but there are also some enjoyable elements in there that I enjoy as a coaster enthusiast. Now, a quick fun fact, this is the first roller coaster that I rode with an inversion. I was really nervous when I got on, but when I went through the vertical loop and felt nothing, my reaction was, oh, that's it? It was in that moment I realized that drops were much more intense than the inversions. This was one of the few rides that helped me overcome my fear of roller coasters and gave me the confidence to ride coasters like Batman and Mr. Freeze later that day. So this is my review of Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis. Now let us know in the comments, is this one of the worst roller coasters you have ridden, or is this coaster overhated? And as always, if you like this video, give it a like, and subscribe to Destination Thrills, the destination for all the latest theme park news and content. I'm Cullah Hale. Have a good one.